だマシンはフォーミュラアトランティックの上昇エンジンチューナーハッセルグレンの AE86 トレノ。エンジンはなんと1万回転仕様で250馬力を発生。足回りブレーキは定番メニューが装着され、タイヤはグリップ志向の高い東洋 RA1 を履く。はじめ
Hi, my name's Andrew, and this is my 1986 Toyota Corolla, built by Hasslegren.
So we are honored to have this car here in our facility. I have been drooling over this car for probably a decade. If you guys aren't familiar, this is the car that Tsuchiya drove at Streets of Willow in I think it was a hot version video. Yep. He's got his, Tsuchiya signed it right here. Also, I think on the steering wheel too, right?
Yes, correct.
Ken Gucci also drove the car. And they were doing like a face-off to see who would drive it faster,
Yeah,
right?
Tsuchiya won by like a tenth of a second, I think.
And then
I think he broke the car, but I wasn't sure what happened after that.
I did see this car one more time, probably 8 years ago. I was taken to some warehouse by a friend. He was like, hey, there's this car here. I can't really say much about it, but if you recognize it, you pull the cover over. I was like, dude, is that the Hasslegren car? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow. First time I saw this car in person, I thought I'd never see it again. And then luckily, Drew acquired it and he's brought it into the light again, and it's here, and I can't believe it.
So tell us as much as you can. How did you find out this was for sale and how did you get it?
So long story short, the original owner, his name's Kevin, but he came in to buy a Ridgeline from us at Honda, since I'm a tech at Honda. And he mentioned to my boss that he had an NSX for sale and an Integra. So of course my boss bought both of them. And I was jealous. And I asked, what else do you have? And he told me he had a Formula Atlantic motor 86. And I told him I was super interested, and I would go next week with him to go look at it, pick it up. It happened really fast, but yeah, I'm super glad it happened. Kind of had like a missing place in my heart for an 86 after I sold my last two. It's just one of those cars where, I don't know, I just needed to have one again.
I know you've had a few, and it seems like as you get another one, they only get crazier. And this is definitely the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you said it was stored at Sonoma Raceway for
Yeah, it was at an amazing restoration shop that restores Formula 1, Formula 2 cars.
Wow.
It was just hidden in the corner, pulled the cover, and I was like, couldn't believe this was just sitting there with all these F1 cars. James Hunt's car, F1 car was there. It's amazing.
Do you know the name of the shop?
I didn't ask.
I see.
Yeah, and there was nothing posted.
Wow, it's just like hidden. It's
just a hidden gem at Sonoma Raceway.
Oh, yeah, I'm just glad it's been in the Bay Area this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an honest-to-God Hasslegren Formula Atlantic engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys aren't familiar, the reason why we're drooling over this car is because the history of this is they use these 4AG engines and they turn it into a spec engine, and they put them into these single-seater cars in the Formula Atlantic series. I'm not an expert on the series. I didn't really watch those, but I think it was around like, I want to say like early 2000s era. I did see some of these racing in actual Formula Atlantic open kart cars at San Jose Grand Prix when we had that like 1 or 2 years in San Jose. But the reason this is special is they took a 4AG engine. They have this cast magnesium valve cover, and you can see that there's some studs up here, right? This is raised, right? And the reason this is because this was actually used as a stressed member of the chassis. So this block became a part of the chassis, and they had some cross bracing that attached right on here, and this became an integral part of the chassis. These, you can see they have a dry sump setup. They have some massive cams. Usually they're around like 13 to 1 compression, maybe higher. Again, I'm not an expert on these. And yeah, they would typically make between 240 to 260 horsepower. It's also well known that they redline at 11,000 RPM or higher. And also, when you're spinning these that high, they have a limited lifespan. Do you know much about like the servicing of these and what it takes to keep this thing running?
He mentioned that there's about 1,000-hour life expectancy if you're racing it. So for my purposes, I mean, hopefully if I take care of it, it'll last longer than that. But yeah, he was not too informative about it, but yeah, I mean,
He was like, yeah, it's a Hasslegren.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily, who I bought it from worked at Hasslegren. So if I ever had any issues, I'm sure he would help me out.
Nice.
Is the displacement still the same? Is it still a 1.6?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So just thinking like 1.6, but 220, 240 horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's a 14.6 compression ratio.
14.6.
Yeah, it's nuts. Because I was contemplating, I tried to tune it to pump gas so I could drive it more.
Oh,
but after I hear that, then I guess I'm putting 100 in every time.
Oh,
So you have to run 100, huh?
Yeah, he recommended 110 unleaded.
110.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's wild. And what's it like to drive it? I mean, does it have like a high idle? Like, what's different about this than some of the other cars you've owned?
It idles at about 13, but it's just the notes of the engine it's amazing.
Yeah.
And especially because the exhaust is just like pretty much an open dump right in the middle of the car.
And you were saying that this engine doesn't even come alive until like 8,000 RPM, right?
Yeah, I mean you can tell it's a 1.6 up until you get there and it starts pulling.
What's the highest you've taken it to?
I've hit 11 once. Yeah.
Some other special stuff is this has what's called a gantry injection. So the injectors are literally mounted outside of the throttle bodies. And the reason they do that is because it allows more time for the fuel to atomize in the air. And basically you can use more of the fuel that's going to the engine to extract the most power out of it. This also has I believe it's TRD USA made these when they were turning these into the Form Atlantic series engines. So this has a really rare TRD intake manifold with much larger throttle bodies than what you'd find on let's say a 20 valve or something like that. And that's required if you're trying to get this much horsepower per liter out of this thing. So what's it like to change the oil on this?
It's actually pretty easy. So there's a drain on the bottom of the sump, and then you take the pulley off and you just get I think it was an 11 millimeter, and you just spin the pump and it pushes it all out.
So you literally like you spin it to get the oil out?
Yeah, wow. You just get the pump going and it'll get all the oil out and drains through the sump.
Sounds easier than a regular 4AG oil change.
Do you know what the suspension is on this? I don't recognize this.
I believe it has Kiko's on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you found any surprises while going through the car?
I was actually really impressed by all the safety wire work. Oh, yeah. I know it sounds like a weird nerdy thing to be impressed by, but yeah, just all these little details here, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Did Kevin do all this himself?
Yes, he did.
Wow. Dude, he must have spent a gang of time on this car.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, the first thing that I'm noticing is this really crazy pedal setup. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that's a full tilt-in pedal set. That's one of the highlights of the car for me.
And you can see it's all floor mounted too, so the driving experience must be quite different than a normal 86.
Oh yes, very.
There's reservoirs actually back there behind the pedals, so they're not in the engine bay like you'd expect.
And there's a brake bias adjustment right there, the red tilted knob.
Oh, right here,
yeah.
Brake bias. All right on.
You always wanted to keep the interior of the car to make a point of it being a street car.
Oh wow.
But then overlaid the cage over it, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
I thought that was a cool quirk of the car.
Yeah, because you're right. It's full interior. It's even got the rear seats. It's got speakers.
It's got radio works and everything.
And then the passenger controlled the cutoff, it looks like, on the far right side.
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed immediately when this car came is there's this gurney flat back here with these amazing billet CNC standoffs. So you can see here they're all custom made carbon fiber piece here, and it looks like a custom bent aluminum flap here. But just the workmanship on this is insane. It's just crazy to think that I'm assuming the original owner just built this on the spare time after work or something.
Yep, you're correct.
Dude, I can't.
It's amazing the amount of detail that's put into this thing.
You said 86, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a few things I noticed, Koki car, because it's got the third brake light, but it's missing the fender garnishes. So he deleted garnishes on the fenders that Koki's come with. So
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. So Ezekiel's talking about those little trim pieces that come on the Koki cars, and they also deleted the rear quarter panel lights.
Yeah, I noticed that because I'm trying to put the Koki third brake light on my hatch. There's a different part number for Koki and Zenki lift back, which you wouldn't believe, right? Yeah, but the Koki one has a provision for third brake light.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
No, I think that's pretty dumb. Why not
put
the same part?
It's good to know. Yeah, that is true. I don't know why they would do that.
Is there any significance with this GT channel sticker?
Honestly, I just kept it on there because I honestly removed most of it. The Hasslegren stickers, I thought it was just too much to drive around in.
Oh.
But I thought that was one of the cooler stickers, so I just left it. Something about stickers on paint too that kind of bothers me. I left the TRD ones because those are authentic, and I didn't want to take those off. But the rest of it was a bit much for me, just as a street. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to thank you again for bringing this. This is
course.
such a special car for us, and I can't believe it's here. Do you have any future plans for the car?
I would like to keep it mostly as is. I mean, I just changed the wheels to make it a little more mine. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch it too much unless I remove the cage so my son could ride in the back. But that's about it.
This has been such an honor, and
Oh, I had a great time.
yeah, dude, we're very thankful that you brought it. So thank you
Yeah,
so much.
no problem, no problem.
So a sincere thank you again, Drew.
problem.
I absolutely can't believe this car was here. I have a million more questions to ask, but we'll be here all night. So once again, thank you again.
No problem.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem.